Welcome to the Titans Time Podcast, your Tennessee Titans podcast for the Pigskin Podcast Network. My name is Tanner Staggs, and joining me, as always, my brother Tyler Staggs. Tyler, go ahead and tell everyone how they can support the show.
Guys, it's really simple. Go check out the merch. All you have to do is go to titans-time.myshopify.com/collections/all. Check out our hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, stickers, phone cases, all kinds of stuff. Those hoodies would come in handy right now because it's been cold the last couple of days. And also, if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, whether it be on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform it is, make sure you're following the podcast. Leave us that 5-star rating. Leave us some comments, questions. You're going to hear me say this a lot, but we love that interaction. We try and build this show off of our fans and get their takes, everything. I mean, we even have a segment later in the show for our game previews called the TTP Fan Takes. So, guys, we really appreciate that interaction. If you're watching on YouTube, scroll down. That subscribe button, if it's red, click it. Turn it gray. Turn on the post notifications so you never miss when we upload a video. If you like the video, leave a like on the video. It helps us out a lot. Share the video with your family, friends, other football fans, Texans fans. Y'all have the ability to talk some trash after the last time these teams played. So come on, check this video out, talk your trash, because it's not going to be happening after this game. And leave us some comments. Let us know how you think this game's going to go.
Also, make sure you're following us on social media. On Twitter, it's Titans_Time. On Instagram, Titans Time Podcast. And on Facebook, Titans Time. All right, so obviously, Titans coming up on their last regular season game, and with
a lot at stake.
Yeah, a lot at stake. They could, they really, hold their destiny in their own hands. Like, they could win and be the number one seed, or they could throw it all away against the Texans and
end up anywhere from the 2 to the 4 seed.
Yeah. So all they got to do here is beat the Texans. I know it was hard for them earlier in the season, but you're getting healthier now, and it should be a pretty easy task. Should be. The Texans have not been great this year, but any given Sunday.
All you have to do is go take care of business. I mean, it's simple as that. Don't beat yourselves like you did the last time you played the team.
So, speaking of that, let's look at the injury report and see if they're going to be in bad shape coming into this game.
A little bit longer injury report than the week before. But
but only 2 players were ruled out as of Friday. Recording this on Saturday, so probably won't hear much else until before the game.
Right.
Naquan Jones out and Tierra Tart out. That's kind of a big hit at one position there with those 2 guys.
The middle of our line.
Yeah, but I think that's something that they can make up for with guys like Bud Dupree, obviously, being healthy.
You have Pico, who's played pretty well. He does good against the run, but he doesn't necessarily have the pass rush ability that you might get from Naquan or Tart.
And that's kind of fine, but you need a guy in there that can play against the run, because I think at this point they have guys that can, get after the quarterback. And so they kind of, with Tierra Tart and Naquan both being out, they need somebody that can be in there and help with the run a little bit.
Our line, our pass rush has been deeper for the most part this year. So you can move guys around on that line. You have Jeffrey Simmons, who you can put in the middle of the line there and bring in, Autry on the outside of him, and still have Dupree and Landry and Ola out there. You have guys where you can move this around and make it okay. On downs where you pretty much know it's going to be a run down, put Pico out there then. Maybe give Simmons a little rest if he needs it. So there's ways that they can work this around.
Yeah, so they have plenty of talent there. I'm not really concerned about that. And no one is listed as questionable. So that's pretty much it for the injury report on their side.
And had a lot of people that, even though they may have been out a day or limited a day, ended up finishing the week full participants in practice.
Yeah. So for the Texans, they have a couple guys that are questionable. The wide receiver, Chris Conley, wide receiver, Chris Moore, and the tight end, Jordan Akins. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is listed as out on their injury report. Been like that all season.
You think they're actually going to get rid of him next year?
It's a little bit weird, but I don't know. I feel like it's probably the best move for him at this point is to just, start with a clean slate.
Get what you can.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But
there's one name not on that list, and as you said, we're recording this on Saturday. There's been some speculation, a lot of different opinions on this. You asked me a question to end the last episode that we have if I thought King Henry would be activated for this game. I want to dive into that a little bit because, the King...
Oh, my gosh.
No, hey, he's back. He's back at practice, had a good week of practice, and he's looking good from what everyone's saying. And... when you asked me that question, you said just give yes or no. We'll expand on it in the next episode. I said no. But our good buddy Rossi, he has a source on the inside there. He's broken several reports that have come true. And he broke this report the other day. And this came from his Derrick Henry source. King Henry told Rossi's source that he was told that they kind of wanted him to rest some more. And he said, I ain't here to rest. I'm here to play. Don't come at me with that shit. So, going off of that, Henry wants to be out there. He not saying he wants to be out there the whole game, but he wants to get out there and get a couple of live reps in against a defense that's actually trying to hit him.
I personally think it's important for him to do that. I think that, and this is something that I've said, dating back to just a couple of weeks after he originally got injured, and then we were like, okay, the timeline could be, between like week 18 and the first week of the playoffs, and I'm like, it would be nice to have him get out there and get a couple of in-game reps before we get into the playoffs, because you don't want him knocking that rust off in a playoff game.
In the first half of a playoff game,
right?
Essentially, because a lot of people are saying, I know TA, he's wanting Henry out there. Rossi, they talked about it on Rossi's show. They're saying, give him 10 to 15 snaps. That's not doing his normal workload. If you go on the lower side of the 10, it gets him back out there, lets him get a couple of hits, lets him get back to that game speed. I don't know if you've seen the videos of him from practice, the one day that they got to practice outside.
Not a lot.
But, we've always talked about how he gets stronger as the season goes along. He looks well rested, as he should, and he actually looks quicker, I feel like, which is scary.
I'm going to go a step further than those guys because, 15 to 20 snaps, that's not just a ton of play, depending on if those snaps end up being, if he actually gets the ball in those snaps, whatever. I'm going to say 10 to 12 reps, 10 to 12 touches to at least, try to make a play and get back used to the feeling of getting hit and, take a couple bumps and bruises, maybe take one to the house, who knows, get back to that feeling of taking one to the end zone.
With Henry against the Texans, that's always possible.
It only takes one.
Like, say you put him out there first play of the game, he breaks it for a long run, set him down.
Yeah,
at that point. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
But I know I've seen some other people make some comments, which, here's the thing, it's a different type of injury because they talked about, the turf there in Houston. They talked about how Dupree and Luan, when they came back from their injuries playing on the turf, kind of had a negative reaction with their injury and had them out a week. They tore their ACLs. So completely different type of injury from something with, your bone in your foot. But you also do have to kind of look at it from the aspect of, okay, do we want to put him out there yet? Possibly, him have a negative reaction just a little bit to where, maybe he's not able to practice as much the next week. But if you put him out there, say that were to happen, but you win, you have that week break to let him rest up. And I'm like you. I said no the other day. That information from Rossi kind of it changes my mind because if Derrick Henry wants to be out there, he's going up to Brabel and he's like, dude, come on, you put me out there. I'm a competitor. I want to be out there. From all the doctors, I'm in good shape. Let's go. Let me get those reps in.
And not only do I think it's important that Henry, gets a chance to go out there and get a couple of reps before the playoffs. The Titans need to be pulling out all stops to win this game and secure that number 1 seed, because that is extremely important. And I'll talk about that more when we get to the stat chat, but it's extremely important that they get the number 1 seed and get that first round bye.
Well, and another thing you add in, think about how, just from having Henry back at practice, all the guys on the Titans team are ecstatic right now. If you activate him for this game and put him out there, the energy level for this team is just going to go through the roof because they have their leader back. And you know what? I'm like everyone else. I want to see him activated. Give him. I think you said a pretty good number there. Not just, which I think that's what everyone else was kind of meaning when they said 10 to 15 snaps. They were meaning 10 to 15 of him actually running the ball. But yes, give him 10 to 15 active reps where he's touching the ball, running the ball, getting hit, maybe even catching the ball. Just a way where he's touching the ball, getting hit, and possibly taking one to the house.
Right. And I mean, just him being out there is that's going to open up the passing game. That's going to open up so many things because, and this is the reason I was saying 10 to 12 reps, probably a lot more snaps than that, because you don't even really need him to do a ton. If you run it with him 10 to 12 times and then you have him out there for a handful of other snaps, 10, 15 more snaps on top of that, where he's basically just opening up the passing game. He's making the defense respect him even though he's been out for several weeks.
So you put him out there for the first offensive snap. Are the Texans really going to say, okay, we're not going to load the box. This dude's coming back from injury. No, he's earned the respect of the Texans are probably fixing to load that box up to try and stop him because they're going to expect him to get it. And then you hit him with play action first play, A.J. Brown or Julio down the field. Just like you said, that respect factor on him. And, we've hit on Henry quite a bit here. Need to kind of switch to talking about a little bit more about just the game in general. We know they're probably going to be, I think they're facing David Mills this time instead of Tyrod Taylor. So don't really have to worry about as much quarterback getting out of the pocket, hurting us with his legs. Another change for this game, we now have Zach Cunningham. And this game, it's meaning a lot to him. He's even said, it would mean a lot if we could lock up the number 1 seed by beating my former team.
Yeah, and he's been playing well. So, I think that's, important that we have that little bit extra there in the middle of the defense. And, he's just, Davis Mills is I like him as a young quarterback. He's not going to beat you by himself. Cunningham is
he can see it. He can see over the O-line just because of how long his neck is.
Cunningham is definitely going to help out against the run. So he's going to, we have that little extra, presence that can help stop the run. And, obviously we have these guys, Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, these guys in the middle there. I don't think that the Texans, who, I don't personally think they've been great running the ball all year. Don't think they're going to run it all over us, especially not with they don't have Tyrod Taylor, like you said. I don't think, anyways, he's going to be playing.
Right. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mills from everything I've been seeing. And like I mentioned, the Texans, they didn't really beat us last time.
Well, here's the thing. The only way that they were able to get anything going offensively is if Tyrod Taylor was able to make something happen with his feet.
Well, and we gave them short field because we would have turnovers on our side of the field.
Yeah, and so you're not going to have the quarterback running all over the place. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything going with the running back. Davis Mills not going to beat you through the air. I think this is a completely different game than last time. So all the Titans got to do is take care of the ball, I feel like, and they're in good shape.
And I believe they're going to do that because you're not going to have the factor of, it was pouring down rain and Tannehill was really without any of his big name guys. I mean, you think about it, you had Des Fitzpatrick in there who a couple of times, they pretty much said he ran the wrong route. And that's what led to a couple of Tannehill interceptions. So when you factor in things like that, that's going to take away that. I don't see Chester Rogers having a brain fart again and letting the, punt hit him and then the Texans recovering deep in our territory. Like, this is going to be, I feel like, a much cleaner game for the Titans. They're going to take care of the ball. You're going to have Julio and AJ out there, or at least you should, because Julio's back this week. He's been activated from the sickness list. Says that he feels good. And not to mention, like we said, if you throw the king out there for...
Things are going to start to look familiar for Tannehill at this point. Well, I don't even want to say necessarily familiar, because what's familiar for him at this point in the season is having nothing. But things are going to start to, I guess, be more comfortable for him. He's going to be like, okay, I'm not used to this. I got something to work with here.
Well, you look at how much it impacted the offense when A.J. Brown come back. Just getting that guy back made a huge difference for Tannehill and opened things up for him more. Now, you have him out there. You have Julio out there. If you get Henry back, you get to see something that we haven't seen really that much at all this season, of this three-headed monster that we were talking about before the season. How are teams going to stop this? A.J. Brown's even commenting on it, on how, we really haven't had this three-headed monster together.
Yeah.
So it makes me happy for the playoffs to know we should have all these guys back together and just go take care of business against this bad Texans team. Lock up this number 1 seed, get that bye week, and make the playoffs. Go through Nashville to try and get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of fitting that the Titans are really just, I guess, coming to, like, they have, like, what we've been talking about all season long, like you just said. I mean, they're basically hitting their stride, it seems like, right now. I mean, this is probably the best we have seen this offense as far as the weapons that they have out there, if Henry happens to go out and play all season. Okay, so, and the defense has kind of found themselves. They did that, sort of during that stretch of time that the offense was so banged up. So we know what this defense is bringing now. We just need to see all of the things that we've been talking about with the offense, the three-headed monster, how are people going to stop? We need to see all of that come together, see one full game of them playing both sides of the ball the way that this team can, and things are going to be looking good for the playoffs.
Oh, they will. And I just want to throw this out there to you. Not looking past this game, but we know the Titans they're going to be in the playoffs. Either way, they won the AFC South. They're in the playoffs. They have the advantage of there is not much film out there of this three-headed monster together. They really get to unleash this in the playoffs. Teams aren't going to know what to really expect because, as we said, we haven't seen all these guys together that much. So,
do the Titans even know what to expect? I mean, how many times have these guys been together at practice even?
That's what I'm saying.
Not a lot of the season.
Well, you think about it. When you have your top guys out and everything, sometimes it can knock your playbook down a little bit. Now you get all three of them back, all three of them healthy. You open up that playbook and it's like...
That's a great point because Todd Downing is a guy that let's just say it, we haven't liked him all season. And
look, I'll say that his first drive play calls, like what he comes out with there, and sometimes even the entire first half, I'm like, dude, the script that he has to start the game. I think Tyler Rowland with Locked on Titans mentions this a lot. He's like, whenever Downing sits down and writes out that script on how he's starting the game, as soon as he gets done, he needs to tear it out, crumble it up, and throw it away, and just go to what he does in the second half.
Yeah, I agree with that. But this could be important. That was a great point that you made, because we might actually see now, if that's true, and he's able to add a bunch of different plays into the mix now, we might see that he actually has some tricks up his sleeve, and he's just been like, well, gosh, I can't run this with these guys, you know?
And also, another thing, just the combination of Henry and Foreman. I mean, you think about it, as a defense, you're used to, with the Titans, they have Henry, this guy who, he's just going to hit you all game long. And then, whenever he would come out, you would have McNichols come in. And he's a guy who's not really going to punish you as much. He's, their pass catcher. Can be, I'm trying to think of the word. He can get away from you, and pick up extra yards. But now you have Henry. He comes out there. He's running it down your throat. He has to come out for a play, and you're like, okay, we're not going to have another bruising back hitting us. And then you look back there and you see Foreman, who is like a Henry Jr., and he's going to be coming up and doing the same thing to you. The defenses are going to be wore out by the time the fourth quarter gets here.
Imagine this, okay? So you know that the Titans like to put Derrick Henry at quarterback sometimes once they get into a goal line position.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. And they ran this with Foreman a couple times.
Imagine Derrick Henry in the Wildcat at quarterback with Foreman to his left. A.J. Brown to his right comes in motion. And now Derrick Henry has a triple option. He can catch the ball, and the little pitch that the quarterbacks do, it counts as a pass to the receiver that's coming in motion.
Little shovel pass.
Pitch to A.J. Brown in motion on a sweep. Hand off to Deontay Foreman. Or keep it and run behind A.J. Brown as a lead blocker.
Run behind A.J. or run behind Foreman.
Either one. It's literally the perfect goal line play.
I like where your mind is, that because those are three guys who can fight for those extra yards.
Absolutely.
So,
perfect goal line play. If Todd Downing doesn't have that somewhere in the mix, he needs to. And I think that's a great time.
And right quick, I want to say this before we hop into that segment, because obviously we're going to expand a little bit more, give our keys to the game, bold predictions, score predictions a little bit later. But are you as worried, knowing that the Titans lost to the Texans last time, do you have any concerns about playing this team this time?
So I think if you'll remember the last game, I was concerned before the last game.
Because you said it would be the most Titan thing to do to lose to the Texans. Or you said that you thought that they would drop one to the Texans.
Yeah, and so I was originally thinking, okay, it would be the most absolute Titans thing to do for them to get to Week 18 and drop the game to the Texans. But then, with the way things were looking, at the time, I was like, well, this one kind of looks perfect, But I'm not worried about this one at all because, things are just trending in the right direction for the Titans. And the Texans at this point don't really have anything to go for. There's no benefit to winning this game. You need a higher draft pick.
Well, you want me to tell you what their benefit is? They want to try and ruin things for the Titans.
Yeah, and they want to sweep the Titans, obviously. So there is that. And I don't even know what they're playing for as far as a draft pick. I don't know how far they could potentially go up, or if they win, how far they could go down. But if there's any incentive, that they could move up in the draft order, that should be the most important thing. Because they need some talent from the draft.
Right. Well, I'm just going to put it as the Titans need to go take care of business. And now, what you were trying to get into a minute ago, it's time to get into our Best Bets segment, presented by DraftKings.
Yeah, and you can still take advantage of the hockey promo that we mentioned in the last episode. It's an absolute no-brainer. As I mentioned last time, all you got to do is bet on a goal to be scored, and that is literally inevitable in a hockey game because if nobody scores, they're going to go to a shootout, and someone is going to score, and someone is going to win that game before they leave the ice. So, new customers can bet just $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores. If the sportsbook is not available in your state yet, no worries. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. All you have to do is use promo code TPPN. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Throw down $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So, new customers, go take advantage of that. Use that promo code. One more time, it's TPPN. And win you some free bets. And, you know, as we always say, this is not betting advice. I'm trying to remember exactly. I had it wrote down here somewhere. I think I'm like 13 for 24, and you're like 6.
I'm 6 of 24.
And general information for this Titans and Texans game. The Titans are favored by 10, and the over and under on points is 42.
Okay, well that helps me out a little bit because I picked mine out on, I guess, Thursday, and the total was higher than it was at 43.
Well, this is as of this morning. I just looked this morning.
Perfect. So I'm going to go with over 42. I originally had over 43, but if I haven't locked that in yet, so I'm going to go with over 42. And then also I'm going to go with AJ Brown. If you go under weekly specials on the game, AJ Brown over half a touchdown, which if he scores, you're good. And Harold Landry, 1 or more sacks, and both of those combined, plus 475 on the odds. That's great to take advantage of.
I hate you so much because I got on there this morning. I looked at that weekly special.
See, I got it there because I had that picked out on Thursday.
And I was like, that's a no-brainer, I feel like. I'll put it this way. As soon as I seen it, I immediately went and put money down on it. Because I trust it that much. Harold Landry's just having an amazing year. And AJ, there's always a very good chance for him to either catch one and get those yards after catch and score, or just be down in the red zone and come down with a catch. Well, I guess it's a good thing I wrote 4 down instead of just 2 because...
And that's why I always go first.
Oh, I wanted so
I need the help, though, because I'm way behind.
I looked over and I seen your notes, and I really wanted to jump in before you said that one and claim it for myself, because I'm telling you, usually the weekly special, it's one that I look at and I'm like, I don't know about that one. Like, it's kind of iffy. But as soon as I seen that one and seen plus 475, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah. So, okay, the 2 that I'm going to go with, we talked about Mills running this offense, talked about how good the Titans defense is playing. And I mean, I think they've only allowed 1 passing touchdown in like the last 4 games. I'm going to go with Mills over a half interception. Odds are minus 150 on that. And then the other one that I'm going to go with is, I think this is finally the week it's going to happen, since he got robbed earlier in the year. Julio Jones, anytime touchdown score. The odds are plus 280.
All right, I like that. I'm glad I got mine locked in because I'm confident about that.
Oh, I bet you are, because like I said, as soon as I seen it, I was like, I'm really hoping Tanner did not go to the weekly special and see this.
All right, and now it's time for the stat chat for this week. So, I said earlier that it was important for the Titans to get the number 1 seed and get that first round bye. And this is why. This is why I think that. So, these stats don't include like the past couple of years of the playoffs. So 3 years ago, some stats were posted on Reddit by a user that had done some analysis on whether or not there was, like, how much of an advantage there was, rather, to having a bye week in the playoffs. And of course, back then there were 2 teams from each conference that had a bye week. Now there's just 1. And I'm going to go through these percentages, and then I'm going to tell you why I think it's even more important now to have it. So the percentage of teams that made the Super Bowl for each corresponding seed are as follows. 1 seed, 54%. 2 seed, 25%. 3 seed, 4%. 4 seed, 13%. 5 seed, 2%. And 6 seed, 4%. Now, the reason that the 4 seed is so high is because in the past, which was like the mid to late 90s, and even before that, there were only 3, the way it was set up, there were only like 3 teams that got in by winning their division, and then the 4 seed was like the best team that didn't win a division. So like there could have been a team from those 3 divisions that was good but didn't, win, because obviously maybe the 1 seed was in that division. So that's why like that team could sometimes be better than the 3 seed and obviously the 5 seed and 6 seed.
And obviously there's not really any information on the 7th seed.
Yeah, there's in these statistics anyways. So a team with a bye is 7.3 times more likely to make the Super Bowl than a team without. And this is where I think now it's going to become more important to get that bye. There's only 1 team from each conference. So only 1 team now, instead of 2, has that advantage of having that bye week. And I mean, obviously there's, several different reasons why this having that bye week, gives you an advantage in getting to the Super Bowl. The most important one is there's 1 less game you have to win. You only have to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl, and then obviously 3 games to win. But to get to the Super Bowl is what we're talking about here.
And you only have to win 2, and those 2 are at home.
Winning 2, yeah, they're at home. Winning 2, your odds are so much better than having to go and win 3 games in a row. Doesn't matter what the matchups are. All day long, 2 games is better than having to play 3. And then obviously also you have the extra rest. It's just statistically, it is way better to have that first round bye. So the Titans, they have to do everything they can to win this game, get the 1 seed. I know people in the past have sometimes been like, oh, well, like say for the Ravens, for example, a couple of years ago, well, the bye messed them up. They had that week and then they weren't ready to play. Sometimes it's just better for a team to, play through and keep going, keep that momentum going. I was even like that at one point a couple of years ago, but I don't think that's true. I think it's always better to have the bye if you can.
Yeah, I think it's good to get that extra rest, especially this year with how many injuries this Titans team has had, and even lingering injuries throughout the year. You give these guys that bye week where they can rest up, get healthy. You have an extra week possibly for the king to rest up, be raring to go. I mean, it makes a huge difference for those teams. And I want to ask you right quick, and this kind of relating to this because talking about the 1 seed in the bye, if the Titans go win in Houston, given how many injuries and everything else they've had this year, my mind's been made up a couple weeks ago. Do you think Mike Brabel should win Coach of the Year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like he's done an awesome job this year, and there's just so much that he's had to overcome, and he's still in a position here to win the 1 seed. And
just to give some information there, I think he's still 4th best odds for winning. So, and that's just crazy to me, given what all's happened with this team, how many injuries they've had to overcome, and how he still has them in position to get this 1 seed. So
I think he should win it, especially if they go out and win tomorrow.
I agree. Now, it's time to get into our quick hitters, and we always start those off with our TTP fan takes. Mentioned these earlier in the show. If you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio version of the podcast, you need to go find us, especially on Twitter and Facebook, because before we record these game previews, we put a tweet or a Facebook post out there asking for your score and bold predictions for the upcoming games. And you have a chance to be featured on the show if you do that. And this may actually be the longest list that we have had so far this season. So starting it off with some people from Facebook. Brother-in-law Thomas Peterson, score prediction 34-17 with the Titans winning. Bold prediction, the Titans defense gets 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. Then you have friend of the show Drake. He commented on Facebook, score 28-17 with the Titans winning. Bold prediction, A.J. Brown 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Eric Hynat on Facebook, score prediction 24-10 Titans. Bold predictions, Titans force a fumble and the Titans throw an interception. Now, jumping over to Twitter, my amazing wife Carrie, go give her a follow at CarrieLiz94. Score prediction 24-15 Titans winning. Bold prediction, Texans lose 2 fumbles and the Titans sack Mills twice. At first she said Taylor or Mills, and of course now we know Mills is going to be the starter. Then Chester Taylor from Twitter, go follow him at Trilogy79. Score prediction 31-10 Titans. Bold prediction, and I'm guessing this is combined, not 3 each. He says Simmons and Landry 3 sacks in partial action. No fourth quarter snaps for those guys because he thinks the game is going to be too far out of hand at that point and the Titans are going to be resting them. Then Paul from Twitter, go follow him at Paul381-269-70. Score prediction 34-10 Titans winning. Then Marvin from Twitter, go follow him at Marvin NNRC. Score prediction 31-17 Titans winning. He says that this game will be a blowout until the starters leave the game and the Texans will score late touchdowns to bring that score closer. Then, got to flip the page here. Play Action Titan on Twitter, and go follow them at Play Action Titan. Score prediction 31-3 Titans. Says it's going to be a Revenge of Cunningham game. I think Cunningham's going to go out with a chip on his shoulder and really be trying to get back at his old team. Then Brad Duff from Twitter, go follow him at BradDuff9. Score prediction 27-10 Titans. And then, I don't know if I even want to say friend of the show anymore. I guess technically he still is. But Jacob Patterson, he commented on the tweet and said that we know it, everybody knows it, the Texans win by 2 on a walk-off field goal. And my only question for him was, why are you the way that you are? And he said that the Titans play better on the road. I said, well, this game's in Houston. And he said, I meant in the playoffs. So, that's something interesting to think about as well. But that is all the fan takes from this week. Now we can get into our keys of the game, our keys to the game.
Well, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here. The Titans need to take care of the ball.
Well, even if it is low-hanging fruit and even if we have the same answer, that's the biggest thing.
That's really all you have to do to win this game.
It's so obvious, but you have to state it because the reason, you think about it, if they take care of the ball in that first game where they played the Texans, we're possibly talking about them already having the 1 seed locked up.
Right.
So all you have to do, go into this game and take care of the ball. We know Tyrod Taylor's not playing, so you don't have to worry really about containing the quarterback anymore because that was something with the first time they played. We knew that Taylor could run. We knew that if you don't contain him in the pocket, you let him get out and run, he can make plays with his legs. You don't have to worry about that with Mills. So just focus on what you can do, take care of the ball, and this game should be easy.
Yeah. As for my bold prediction, I say the Texans will fail to force a turnover. The Titans will force 2.
Okay.
And then score prediction, I'm actually going to change mine up a little bit. I'm going to say 31-13 Titans.
31-13.
Which does hit my over that I said from Best Bets, because that would be 44 points.
All right. Yeah. I figured you would tie that in somehow there. Bold prediction, I'm going to say that Cunningham forces, he doesn't have to be the one to necessarily recover it or anything, but Cunningham is going to force or help force 3 total turnovers in this game. Whether that be him forcing a fumble or him, even if he recovers one, or if he tips a pass and someone else picks it off, I think he's going to be responsible for 3 turnovers this game. And score prediction, I'm going to, a lot of people have been throwing it around, and it's just a number that's been sticking out to me as well. I think 31 to, I'm going to say 31-9.
31-9.
I don't think the Titans, I don't think they allow a Texans touchdown. I think they hold them to strictly field goals.
Or they allow a touchdown and a safety.
Let's hope not. I would rather it just be 3 field goals.
All right, well, do you have anything else to add in?
I don't believe so.
Well, thanks for listening. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. This has been Titans Time, and as always, tighten up.